Mr. Birdie, members of the board, we do have several items for board discussion this evening. The first item is the 2020-2021 OHSAA Board of Education resolution. So you should have a handout in your folders. This is a resolution that I plan to bring to the board at the next board meeting. This is routine. The board takes this into consideration every year. It allows authorizing 2021 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. So I just wanted to provide you with that copy and let you know that we'll have that on the next agenda for approval. Any questions about that?
Questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you.
All right. Next item, speech and language pathology needs 2021. Mr. Martin.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a request for Kathy Gilbert, who is our Director of Special Services, and she keeps up with all the various needs in the ever-growing population of students with special needs in our district. And there is a need for an additional speech and language pathologist for the next school year. We've anticipated this need for some time. This position is built into the 5-year forecast. And this year, we're meeting the need by getting contracting the services out with Butler County Educational Service Center. We already have a speech pathologist working 3 days a week to try to meet the needs. We're barely getting all the minutes that we're supposed to have for our students in, and so we need to expand that a little bit for next year. So we were hoping just to get an affirmative answer from the board this evening if we could proceed with that, so we could get it posted early. These positions are difficult to find, and we would like to get a first swing at some of the candidates.
Are there any objections from the board? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Our next two items will be covered by Mr. Penny, and first one is a district telephone system update. So I'll turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm excited to be able to bring information this evening regarding our plans to outfit all the schools with new telephone system, all schools with new telephone systems, which will provide a phone in every classroom. So currently our 3 new buildings, they have phones in the classrooms, and they also have some other features that go along with those phones that I'll discuss here in a little bit. But anyway, having this resource available across the district has been a consistent request by staff and principals. A few of the reasons are the ability to contact parents from the classroom. So right now with Compass, Central, and Freshman, it's very easy for teachers to be able to reach out to parents because they have that phone in the classroom and they can pick it up. And it's a comfortable environment for them, as well as they have the computer there, they have the resources they need to be able to make these type of communications. The challenge right now is that many teachers in these other buildings have to actually go to copy rooms, other common areas. They may be using their personal phones, may or may not, I'm not 100% sure on that, or they're going to the office. So we have some buildings like the high school that has some phones in between classrooms. But as far as having across the building phones in the classrooms, we don't have that in these other buildings. Also, the ability to call for help in emergency situations in regards to having a phone. The addition of phones in the classrooms will add an extra layer of safety for communication in case of emergency. And then also improve communication within buildings. So classroom to classroom, office classroom, classroom to office, so forth. I've covered what I consider to be the most important reasons for this upgrade, but why now? And isn't this going to be a huge cost? Because that's initially what I thought when we were looking into this. In addition to the reasons I've already provided, the phone systems in our schools are 20 to 30 years old. I was in South Elementary, for instance, earlier today, and when I looked at the phone that was on the secretary's desk, it shocked me. I think 30 years might be pushing it. I think we're looking maybe 40 years on some of these handsets. Maybe not the whole phone system, but the actual phones themselves, some of them are very, very old. With our newest being installed in 1997 with the new, well, at that point, the senior high school and East Elementary. Those are the newest phone systems we have outside of our new buildings. And those are, as you know, are over 20 years old. So it's becoming difficult to find parts for these systems. That's one challenge. And then we're also concerned about reliability, because phones are something that, on a daily basis, we don't think much about, we just pick up and use, but when they do go down, and it does happen from time to time, we've had a building with a phone down recently, everything screeches to a halt, and communication into the buildings, out of the buildings is very difficult. So those are some of the reasons. Now, initially, when beginning our research, I thought that upgrading, as I mentioned, our phone systems and adding phones to every single classroom was going to be an exorbitant cost. But I also understood that there was going to be a huge value to doing so. After receiving preliminary numbers, I was shocked to find that we would be able to realize a return on investment between 5 and 6 years. Now that's pushing closer to the 6-year point compared to what we currently pay for phone service. Okay, so with that being said, I do want to point out that we're still finalizing some of the engineering on this. These are preliminary numbers. So, for example, we're exploring having all phones being able to interface with the intercom in these buildings. So we have some older intercom systems, but we are exploring having this happen. For example, a principal or an authorized person would be able to take and put in a code into the phone and pick up any phone within that building and be able to do an all-call in an emergency situation or as needed, which is something that seems like it's crucial. Nowadays, principals don't, in my opinion, what I see, don't spend a whole lot of time in their office because they're out working in the buildings, working with students, working with staff. And if an emergency comes up, being able to just go to whatever phone that is available and be able to do that all-call is just a powerful thing. So that's something we're exploring, and there's a few technical ways we're trying to figure out how to do that. One way is less expensive than the other, but it has to be able to interface with our current phone systems. So that return on investment may be pushed back a little bit. But just the point that we're talking about a return on investment, I'm looking like a 10-year period, for instance. Right now we're looking at, like I said, 5 to 6, pushing to 6. But even if we push out towards that 10-year period, we're talking about replacing current phone systems that are antiquated and old, that are on their last leg. We're talking about adding phones to classrooms that don't have them right now, so a lot of additional value in that. And we're still talking about a return on investment during that 10-year time period. Even if we push out towards the 10 years, we're getting all that value, and we're taking care of all these needs. And it's truly not going to be something that's burdensome for the district long term. So it's an excellent thing. This evening, I'm hoping for acknowledgement, kind of a nod, that you're in support of this plan. Do you have any questions?
Questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Penny, I read your proposal. Is this voice over internet, or is each
It's-
landlines, or what are we looking at?
What is, it's voice over IP, and we're either going to use SIP technology over the voice over IP. We'll take advantage of our current fiber network back to SWOCA, which is our internet provider. And yes, so that's how we're doing the shift on this. We'll still have some of the old, copper POTS lines for our emergency systems like elevators, fire, things like that, because we're required to at this point. But overall, that's the way we're able to shift this. And that's the type of setup we have at our 3 new buildings. So.
Any other questions? Mr. Smith, how do you feel about this?
I'm really excited about the possibility of our teachers having access to phones. I know Joe talked about a number of advantages, but I love the fact that our teachers, more of them, will have the ability on their plan period, say, at their desk with their grades pulled up, to pick up the phone and make a phone call to a parent versus going to a workroom, walking in, seeing that 2 teachers are using the 2 phones available and that there are a couple other people kind of hovering around
Right.
waiting to use the phone. So you end up sometimes trying to have a confidential conversation with the parent, and you have other people kind of lingering, and then so I think it's a great opportunity, which I'm hoping will also result in increased communication between our staff and our parents.
I just remember as a parent how frustrating it was sometimes to wait for that phone call from your teacher, your child's teacher. to get the information that you felt was vital to the minute, right? So,
Right.
okay, I'm excited about it too. Mrs. Lane, how does that look financially?
Well, as Joe stated, it actually becomes a cost savings at some point. So I don't see a reason not to do it at this point.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion, any apprehensions that we shouldn't move forward with this? Okay. Great, thank you.
And for my second item this evening, Multiple Disabilities Social Communication Unit at South Elementary. This is a request also, put in by Kathy Gilbert. We're at a point that we need an additional unit, multiple disabilities social communication unit for the 2021 school year. So this will be for next year. This is based on student population needs. It is believed that we will need to add a new I apologize. It is believed that we will not need to add an additional teaching position for this unit, but we'll need to add 2 new educational aid positions. These positions will need to be covered through the general fund due to special education funding sources already being allocated to other staff and benefits. We would like to begin posting these positions in advance of the upcoming school year. Similar to the last item, looking for acknowledgement or a head nod. This is something that we can plan on moving forward on.
Any questions or comments from the board? I think this is another example that we need to meet the needs of our kids. So I think it's something we have to do. So,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Penny.
You're welcome.
All right, our next item for board discussion will be board policies, and it looks like Mandy will be taking the time to talk about 3 policies, so I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I have 3 policies for your consideration this evening. First, policy IGAE, health education. The policy language needed to be updated here to be consistent with OSBA language. The changes were relatively minor. There was some Ohio Revised Code language that wasn't previously in the language that's now spelled out very specifically in the policy. The policy also includes updates to language around wellness and safety habits instead of just using the word health education. And this also includes education on abuse and dating violence. Legal and cross-references were also added as part of this update. Policy IGAF, physical education. This was actually a new policy for the district. It's consistent with OSBA language and meets both federal and state guidelines for physical education. And as you can see, it's a pretty general policy just stating that we are in favor of a healthy physical education program for our students in the district. And finally, policy IGAH, or IGAI, family life education and sex education. This policy was also being updated. It hasn't been updated since 1995. And again, the updates here are very minor to include just a few modifications to the language. The district also in this policy had to add item number 4 because we received Title I funding through the state of Ohio, and therefore we had to add that to our policy. So legal references and cross-references were also updated as part of this revision. As a note, along with the work on these 3 policies, we've also done some updating to the regulations that go along with them. And we are updating those regulations to include show choir as part of the PE waiver. So that work is being done behind the scenes, and I will send you an update on that when I have it. So those are the policies I have for your consideration tonight.
Thank you. Any questions on the policies? Well, thank you very much.
All right, and our last item for board discussion is an update on Board of Education goals, and I'll turn it back over to Michael Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I just wanted to kind of regroup when we set our board goals, and we give mid-year reviews to our superintendent and our treasurer on their goals, so I thought maybe we should just take a look at our goals and see where we are individually as board members and as a board as a whole. So I'll just kind of open the floor up for comments about goals 1 through 5. Anybody?
Yes, okay, sure.
Did I not give you a copy
That's
of
okay,
that?
that's okay. It's probably here and I'm just
Okay.
misplaced it, sorry.
I guess I'll kind of lead us out here. I've attended a few events, just this week, in fact, the Be the Difference program at the high school. I attended that on Tuesday, and that's just an amazing program. It's 4th year, I've done it every year, and I'm just blessed to be a part of it. It's a great thing, and this year didn't disappoint. Just, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, the Martin Luther King one-man play at the freshman building was educational and very entertaining. That was a great program. First look at the show choirs was enjoyable as well. Some of the other points of development, we had our local board member training in December. We met as a board and had training from the OSBA. That was excellent. There are, from time to time, grand openings that the chamber holds and the school districts invited to it, and Mr. Smith and I attended the grand opening of Chick-fil-A. Mr. Clemens was there as well. That was a great event. Here briefly will be another one I'll be attending. Let's see, the Planning Commission, one of the other points was community involvement. The Planning Commission sometimes has to appear before City Council to approve an item or so, so I've attended maybe twice a year, maybe once a quarter, City Council meetings. Future events coming up, but we've got the father-daughter dance on February 22nd. I'm going to be able to volunteer this year. And of course, I would not miss the State of the Community Luncheon on March 11th.
That's great. Ms. O'Neill?
Yeah, I can go next, and I'm glad, I'm glad for this checkpoint, because I don't feel like I've gotten as far as I wanted to on the goal, so I appreciate that we're kind of bringing it to the forefront again. I spoke after school to the Women's Leadership Club with Mrs. Vale, which is a new club this year, which was great to talk to young leaders, young female leaders was great. I attended First Look and attended an event this weekend out of town. We look at out-of-town events in Poco, West Virginia. I have contacted West Elementary about Right to Read Week. I don't know when Right to Read Week is. They didn't get back to me, but I will contact them again about that.
Did I send you
From the
guys an
spring.
email about, oh, you know what, I didn't yet. I got something from one of the other elementary schools,
Okay.
someone who was organizing it, and I remembered the board discussing that. And so I emailed the person back, said, hey, do you mind, they were asking me to come in and read, and I said, hey, do you mind if I send this to the board? I didn't know if they
Yeah.
had their slots full, and
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from her yet. So once I hear back from her, I'll forward that to you guys. It's not West,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's still
yeah,
Right to Read
yeah.
Week, and so.
We used to go to Central.
I think
Yeah.
I think it was from Central,
Yeah.
this one
Okay.
was, yeah. So when I hear back from her, assuming they have some slots open, I'll pass that along to you
That'd be
guys.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then personal development, as Mr. Bagley said, the local board member training that we had, which was great. Community involvement, I'm the board member assigned to the District Community Diversity Alliance, so we've had 2 meetings this year for that, which have been wonderful to attend. And then our book study, which I loved the last time. We all kind of discussed that, so I'm looking forward to the next discussion. But there's definitely some other things on this list that I am looking forward to doing.
Great, great. Mrs. Gundon?
Well, like has been mentioned before, I did the training that we all did, and of course, we're all doing the book study. I have been to 3 sporting events, I think, so far. They've been more higher profile, so I'd like to get in and see some other ones. Unfortunately, I had a crazy cold that ran through my house for like 6 weeks in the winter.
I remember you
so-
commenting on that.
Yeah, so didn't get out a lot for anything then. But also went to the Butler Tech All Boards meeting. That was very interesting and fun. It was great to see the showcase. And I regularly read the OSBA newsletters when they send them out and the magazines. And I think it's very interesting. Like I didn't know a whole lot about the OSBA before. I mean, to me, the OSBA was the Ohio State Bar Association before I started this. So I found it very interesting to read their publications.
Great. Yeah, I've been able to go to several events, First Look, and I've also liked to, I've been in the classrooms. I've spoken to several of our middle school, 6th grade students at Creekside, been in their classroom, talking about setting goals and then, going after those and adjusting how, if you have to, and set priorities and things like that, and that's been fun. I've done that each quarter, and I look forward to going back there. And of course, the school fundraisers, father-daughter dance, I'm mailing out tickets as quickly as I can. They're coming in fast and furious, and I think we have a great leadership team here with staff that they get behind it and get involved and volunteer, and that's going to be an awesome event. Been to a Business Advisory Council meeting. I would love to get involved with the Right to Read Week, so as soon as we get that information, that would be great. Of course, the OSB training, I actually went to the OSB meeting, was it November? When was that? Up in November, up in Columbus. So that was great. And then I'm not able to go to the NSB convention this year. It's in April. It's in Chicago. So if you've ever had a desire to go, it's within driving distance. If you wanted to go, get together with Mrs. Lane, and she'll be able to help you get registered for that. It's a great event. Of course, I go to quite a few Fairfield Township trustee meetings and Butler Tech meetings, but actually had an opportunity. I went to a Lakota school board meeting because I kind of wanted to cover personal development and community involvement in the same instance. And I think it's interesting to go and see how our neighbor school districts, how they run their meetings, and see if there's anything that we can pick up from them that they're doing. Quite frankly, I think we do a really good job here at Fairfield. Not that they don't, but I think that we're doing a lot of the same things. And so that was pretty interesting. And I'm loving the book study. I'm just loving that. It's great information. I call it mind fleshing. You just flesh your mind, everything else, and you get into the book, and it's been tremendous. So I think as a board, I think we've done a really good job of addressing these goals. I think we got some more work to do. But I think it does make us a better board by having some goals to follow and to go after. So I'm pretty pleased, and I would like to, again, at the end of the school year, to come back to them again and see where we are. And so then maybe in the summer, we can come back or at the start of the next school year, other goals that maybe we should look at. So, but thank you for entertaining my curiosity tonight to see how we've been going on this. So thank you very much. Any comments or other questions about these, or?
No, I'm just glad we revisited them.
Great.
Sometimes they get tucked in the back of your mind, so
Yeah.
it was nice to bring them back to the forefront.
Great.